What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today, we're going to go back to soft white underbelly. This popped up on my feed about 2 or 3 hours ago. Be honest with you, I actually watched this whole video, and this guy is supposedly a retired CDC correctional officer. This one is called Retired Prison Corrections Officer Todd. This one's gonna be a good one.
All right, Todd. Todd, where are you from originally? Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Philly, moved to the San Fernando Valley in 1979. I was 9 years old. Grew up in Van Nuys.
How'd you get into being a prison guard?
Prison guard, I got in at 35 years old, a little later. I was a mailman before that for about 15 years, delivering mail in the valley.
And the prison guard job was something that fit your personality?
Nah, I bumped into one of my buddies delivering mail, and he told me about it. He told me about how much money he makes. So I figured, delivering mail by myself, being kind of bored out there, I need some more excitement in my life and make more money.
I bet you being a prison guard provides a lot of excitement.
A lot of excitement, man. It was a circus.
How many years you do it?
I did it for 10 years.
10 years. Which prisons?
Worked up north in Soledad. It's called CTF. It's about the 5th oldest prison in California. And then transferred to Lancaster. Both level 4 maximum prisons.
I wish I had a thing where I could hit the button and would go wah, wah, wah. So first red flag, you guys. So he worked at Soledad. That's fine. He worked in Lancaster. That's fine. Soledad hasn't been a level 4 in I don't know how long. Soledad is a level 3 and a level 2. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to people who have done time in Soledad, but I haven't heard of anything major happening in Soledad in forever, right? But regardless, first red flag, people, Soledad is not a level 4. It's not a maximum security prison. Lancaster is a level 4, 270 design.
Really?
Yeah.
What kind of things do you see?
You name it. Seen everything from sex to drugs to everything.
In the prison, it's much more racial. Like the hoods and Crips. I mean, the Bloods and Crips will
sell up together.
They exist in the hood. In jail, they're all the same.
Yeah, they unite because they need the numbers just in case something jumps off versus the other races.
So it's the African Americans against the Mexicans against the.
That's in Southern California. Up north, you got the Norteños. Those are Hispanics. And then they sell up with the blacks. And then
that never happens. So the first one saying that Soledad was a level 4, okay, he's trying to spice up his little resume for Mark. I'm surprised. Mark, again, a shout out to Mark, shout out to Soft White Underbelly. I'm just, I just trip out. Like, people always say like, "Oh, Dubs, call these people and you interview them." Guarantee you, if I interview somebody and they say something like that, and I know better, I am gonna say, "Hold on," right? But this is a very horrible one, saying that the blacks and the northerners sell up in Northern California prisons. That doesn't happen. The prison wouldn't even. I know a while back they wanted to try integration, and it wasn't gonna work, and it didn't work. But that's a lie.
And the white the Hispanic Sureños, those are down south, but they're up north, and they sell up with the whites.
That doesn't happen either. So let's get this straight. So on the yard, right? On the yard, the whites have their area, the southerners have their area, the northerners have their areas, the blacks have their areas, but then they live in the same cell together? Why would they have different areas then?
So when something jumps off, you got a crazy riot up there. So you got the Norteño Mexicans going against the Sureño Mexicans. So it's not all Mexicans. They're separate up north.
And prison gets very violent.
Big time. Though you can have a riot over the dumbest shit ever. Somebody bumps into them without saying sorry, it'll jump off. all that respect, they respect each other and all that. They act like that in there, but once somebody crosses the line over the dumbest shit, it just jumps off.
What kind of things have you seen?
Oh, stabbings, guys overdosing off of crystal meth or heroin.
I've never seen anybody. I mean, maybe it's possible. I don't do drugs. I sold a lot of drugs in prison, but I have never myself heard of anyone overdosing on crystal meth. Cocaine, yeah, it pops your heart. Heroin, yeah. Meth, no. I never even knew you could OD on meth. I thought that you just get to a point where you just freak out. So that's new to me.
And in a balloon, all kinds of shit, man. It's like, it's a circus, man.
They'll sneak drugs in.
Yeah, drugs. Guards can sneak them in. They have dentists in there. They have doctors in there. They have therapists. They have psychologists. They have teachers. So there's a lot of staff in there that can get caught up and get manipulated and get broken down and start bringing in stuff for these guys. From bringing in a soda to bringing in cell phones to bringing in heroin, and they're owned and they're done.
And with no women around, what?
No women around, and yeah, so if there's a teacher that on the street looks like a 2, she'll look like a 10 in prison. Because these dudes, they're animals, man.
See, that's the stuff, and watch this weird exchange. Hold on.
Caged up animals, man, so anything with a vagina, it's going to look great to them.
Is a vagina necessary?
No, oh no. Oh, they don't need a vagina.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they don't need a vagina.
See, this is the stuff right here, man. The unchecked bullshit type of conversation. I don't know, man. This dude says he was in Soledad and Lancaster. Now, the fact that he doesn't know how people sell up, or the which prison's a level 4 or not. I believe he was a SEAL. I believe he was a level 1 or a farm SEAL, right? Ranch, whatever the fuck they call them, low level ass prisons. I don't know anything about him, but I have a feeling that's where he was. And maybe where he was, weird stuff like that happened, because when he's talking about a woman that's a 2 on the streets is a 10 in prison, when you're on a level 4 yard, especially a level 4 180, 270s as well. I'm sure some of the level 3s too, probably. But when you're around dudes that have the mindset that they are never getting out of prison, they're not worried about how fine that chick is. You know why? She's a headache. Because you are trying to establish yourself. You're trying to establish a money revenue generating scheme. And if you can convince that woman to bring you something in, that's more important than her pussy. Keeping it real. Her pussy will get you in trouble trying to slide into a closet with her or a bathroom with her or whatever. Her bringing shit in, that right there is something that can last a year, 2 years, whatever it lasts. Going in the bathroom with her one time, it's a wrap. What'd you get? You got your dick wet and you made no money. So this guy obviously has zero idea. And then right away, Mark throws the little gay stuff in there. This guy, look, it got all giggly. Let's go back. I'll go back. They get all giggly about the gay stuff, where if he was in a level 4 180 or a level 4 period, it's dudes ain't boning dudes. They gonna get hit for doing shit like that. Let's go.
Caged up animals, man, so anything with a vagina, it's gonna look great to them.
Is a vagina necessary?
No, oh no, they don't need a vagina.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they don't need a vagina. Yeah, if you got any kind of hole, that'll work too, man.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think.
But the vagina, man, yeah, that's gold to them. It could be 100-year-old.
Money's gold. Money's gold. Somebody had asked me recently, not in the stream, somebody I was talking to, and they were like, hey, so in your 24 years, you never just sat back and thought about pussy? And I was like, for what? I wasn't going to get it. You don't waste your time. When you know how to do time, you don't waste your energy on things that you can't control and you ain't gonna get. Why would I now, were there a couple in there where I got to feel on them? Yeah, that was, you know what I mean? Like, that was fun and games. You know what I mean? That's just to stroke a motherfucker's ego. But I would rather have them bring me something in than waste my time trying to sneak a kiss or sneak a blowjob or something like that. That doesn't make me money. Look at this dude.
Girl vagina, man, yeah.
Tell me about prison politics.
So prison politics goes as basically not like really hanging out with different races, man. It's sad and it's sickening, man.
Let's repeat that one more time. Hold on. Let's hear what the prison expert has to say about prison politics.
Tell me about prison politics.
So prison politics goes as basically not like really hanging out with different races, man.
But they'll sell up together. Don't hang out with them. Like I said, on the yard, you have a white area, southern area, northerner area, black area, right? The others have their area. But yet, according to him, they're willing to die over those areas on the yard, but then forget about them when they go in the cell. So what happens on his yard, his make-believe yard that he was on, if there is an incident between the northerners and the blacks, do they go back in the cell together and, according to him, make love to each other after? Is that how they make up?
It's sad and it's sickening, man, because it's just a different world in there, and it's not like that out here. And there's no way that things can get better in there, because...
Do you think the prison system rehabilitates at all?
Fuck no. That thing's broken. It's going to always be broken.
It's just a punishment.
It's a money maker, man. If you really think about it and break it down. Older gentleman, when I first got hired, I asked him, like, hey, man, there's no way that we could stop the drugs coming in? We have the dogs to sniff cars, sniff visitors. We have female guards that can pat down visitors, and we don't do that. Because think about it. If you took away every possible angle from them not to get drugs in, it would be us versus them mentality, and it would be all...
There is no way. There is no way to stop it. And it isn't... The CDC doesn't want the drugs to stop. He's going to say that in a second, but it's just a trip how we don't pat down. Yeah, they do. They do pull people's visitors to the side. I'm not going to get into it, but yeah, you know, especially those of you that have loved ones in prison, you know, you have to be careful when you have those lesbian COs working and visiting, because your lady's fine. They might want them to step to the side and strip them out. It's a cold game.
Bad. So if they can be deceptive and get into shit, that takes a lot of stress off of us, where they're not concentrating on us all the time.
Did you have famous prisoners at all?
I had a few people. I had El DeBarge, R&B singer.
Yeah.
He was up in Lancaster. And then I had a football player that was in my building for 4 years, Lawrence Phillips. He played for Nebraska. He was a running back. He was in my building 4 years. Good relationship with him. And he transferred to Wasco prison. And within a year, he choked out his cellmate. And then he actually hung himself.
I mean, this is something that Mark could have Googled. Right? Like, before I air this episode, let me just make sure I'm not getting worked here. Google, where did Lawrence Phillips die? Kern Valley State Prison. Not Wasco. Wasco wasn't a security level high enough to house Lawrence Phillips. These are the little things, man. You know, so this dude is telling hell of, like, great whoppers. What is the point? What is the motive of this? You know, like what is the like? I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get why people get put on these shows and there's no. You know, Mark does I like what he does as far as the Skid Row stuff, and a lot of people don't agree with him putting people on, especially if they're under the influence. That's their world. He's showing us a glimpse of a certain lifestyle. But when you have somebody who's saying that he was a correctional officer and doesn't know how people are housed, doesn't even realize that the prison he says he was at, he doesn't realize they have no level 4 there. And then when he talks about a very famous NFL player that went to prison, killed his cellie, and then committed suicide, and he didn't check that he was in the same county. Yeah, both prisons are in Kern County, but they're not the same prison at all. It's a trip to me.
So never really caused problems with us, but he just wanted to be left alone and do his time, and he wasn't part of the politics. So eventually something happened in his cell, and he had to choke out his cellmate.
But going to work every day, being surrounded by murderers and, all these different hustlers and all kinds of guys all day long, it's got to take a toll on your personal life. Right?
Oh, you definitely got to have a strong-minded, man. You got to be a strong-minded individual because, yeah, man.
How did it affect you?
Really didn't affect me, man, because I grew up kind of rough and I already knew the game. So when those guys are trying to hustle me, I was already 3 steps ahead of them. I already knew.
How did your childhood prepare you for this?
Look at this guy. Just look at him. He's 3 steps ahead of the game. He can't even tell us. He can't even tell his lies right. But he's 3 steps ahead of the game. He's 3 steps ahead of guys that are sophisticated criminals. He's 3 steps ahead of them. He already played himself. He didn't even realize it yet.
Drug infested. Mom did a lot of drugs. Didn't really have a lot of boundaries and structure as a kid. Ran around with my friends in the valley. Every race, Samoans, Asians, Mexicans, blacks, and just ran amok. Never got into the gang shit. Have friends in the gang. Never got involved with selling dope. Always worked hard. But I wanted nice things in life, so cruising, clubbing, chasing females. So it's basically the same thing. But the gang shit, yeah, to me, that's just the stupidest thing ever, man. Over neighborhoods and colors and killing each other. No, man.
Yeah, it's crazy how you're born on the wrong street and your enemy is.
We had a little clique going on where I lived at, and we played against different neighborhoods and tackle football and all that. But as like killing each other. Nah, man. Color-wise? Nah. Not into that.
And these guys are creating weapons in there as well?
They create weapons in there. Any little thing that they can find their hands on, they'll definitely sharpen it up. And from a toothbrush to getting a little razor blade on a toothbrush to, oh yeah, man. They got nothing but time, man.
He couldn't even describe the weapons. You guys have probably Googled and seen the weapons that come out of there. How many times... How many times have you ever seen a toothbrush on a weapon board? You may be able to Google Pelican Bay weapon board. And I've never seen anybody use a toothbrush. I've never seen anybody put a razor blade on a toothbrush. You're on the yard. You have steel around you. Why are you... But people that don't know, this again is another sign to me he's never been on a level 4. He was on a level 1, or he was on a ranch, and he was eating really good while he was there.
And so their mind is like thinking of the worst shit to do.
And you've seen guys they've already got a life sentence, so they have nothing to lose.
They say they got nothing to lose. They always come at me like that, whenever I have a problem, like, you can't do shit to me. And we can do shit to them, like certain things that we can do to make their life
like
a little
what?
miserable in there.
Like what?
Take their TVs from them if their TVs don't belong to them and so forth. That'll hurt them, even though they're never.
That'll hurt them. Is it possible that a CO will take somebody's TV? Yeah. If it's a floater, yeah, they can do that. Normally, if that happens, the TV gets replaced pretty damn fast because, people get dealt with internally. That CO, normally a CO, instead of going and taking somebody's TV, they would know who to get at on that tier or in that block or on that yard and say, hey, man, so-and-so's bringing some heat to you guys. That's all they have to say. All right. Then a little investigation will be done, and, nobody wants heat. Heat can affect money. So, but hey, this guy is really affecting people taking a TV. I believe him.
Never getting out, but watching TV to them, that's a big deal. That's their everyday routine. So if you fuck up their routine, it pisses them off and it gets them mad.
He's not, okay, I'm sure he's heard. You mess with a man's routine. Remember, the guard's going for 8 hours. The convicts are there for 24 hours a day. So when the guard retires, the convict is still there. And the guards understand that. The correctional officers go in there and get themselves in trouble. And he's sounding like a correctional officer on a very low level.
Bad. So they play that game.
It's got to be tough on guys who are in there for things that are not from the streets, not from the rough lifestyle of.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, if you grew up with a mom and dad and you got caught up doing something kind of weird on the streets and you got to do hardcore time,
weird.
These dudes will eat you up in there, man. They've been going in the prison system ever since juveniles, and they know the whole game, man. And just listen to them talk. Yeah, you can, like, the outside world doesn't know why these guys keep on going in there, and they don't understand. But once you're in there and you watch, and you're like, no wonder these guys keep on going back in there. Why? They got their 3 meals, they get their drugs, they got their medication, they got all their boys from the neighborhood. It's like a little camp. Just imagine a camp.
So according to him, the 3 horrible meals, right, are an incentive to go to prison. There's drugs in prison, right? Keep in mind, you can buy a gram or more of heroin, for an example, or let's put it like this. What you're going to spend $50 on in prison is one shot of dope, where you can buy a gram on the streets for the same price. So yeah, that makes sense too. There's drugs in prison that are exorbitantly expensive, right? And there's the horrible meals. That's another incentive. And your homeboys in there. I guess none of them are on the streets anymore. So they're all in prison. And apparently they're all in one jail. And if you just go to that prison, great job, Mark. Great job of
As you went to camp when you were in 8 years old, all the way up until you're 50, you're still bumping into people from the camp. And that's how it is, man. You listen to them and you're like, this shit is wild. Like, hey, you know so-and-so from this neighborhood? Oh, that's my cousin's husband. You know that? And they all got nicknames. They all got AKAs in there. And you're just listening. You're like, what the fuck? This is crazy. Like, no wonder these dudes.
They're having a conversation. Do you know my cousin's husband? And he's just like, this is crazy. He knows his cousin's husband. Wow, that's fucking mind-blowing. How could he know his cousin's husband? Chingo. This is a CO. Look at him.
They're all like this, man.
Being out in the free world is probably
Forget it.
Scares the hell out of
them. They can't survive it, man. Fuck no. Within a week, they're done. They're taking a bad piss test, getting violated. They're committing crimes because they don't have money for food. They can't get a job out here, man. No.
Meanwhile, thousands have. Thousands have gotten jobs. Thousands have not done that dirty test. Mr. Potato Head right here, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Shout out to all the ex-cons that have got out and been successful, are still striving, still doing your thing. Shout out to everybody behind those walls that's got a plan and has big goals for themselves. I believe in you. Don't let this sucker convince you anyways.
I've heard a lot of stories of guys who just get turned into sexual objects just because they're there.
Oh, you're talking about in prison?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of stuff's consensual to me, man. Really? Not so much raping and all that. It's consensual, man. Especially in California. Like, we kind of like, when a new guy comes into prison and he has to cell up with somebody, we kind of accommodate them where they're going to get along.
Prison rape isn't a thing in California. I mean, it may happen on a level like that's unheard, like you don't hear about it. And I guarantee you, if somebody raped their cellie, all I could do is speak for Raza, right? Especially Southern California. I'm gonna take that back. I don't speak for nobody, but to speak of my experience, if a dude rapes his cellie, he's gonna get whacked, and he knows it, right? The reality is homosexuality is completely, violently frowned upon in there. You are not going to make your people look bad. Imagine you're supposed to instill fear in a rival faction, and you got dudes with Kool-Aid on their mouth or on their eyes, whatever they do. I don't know. It's not going to happen. Yeah. So, but it's weird how, this is 2 times already where Mark has brought up the sexual thing in prison. It's weird that it turns to that. Like, what is the infatuation with that? That stuff goes on maybe in the southern, like Angola or I don't know, other prison systems. I don't know. Maybe it happens in other places. Obviously it must. But in California, it's frowned upon violently. But, this is his story.
We usually don't sell up a blood in a crep. If we have to, we will. But we'll sell up somebody that's same age almost. If you got a guy doing 90 years and you got a young kid that's doing 2 years, we're not going to sell up a 20-year-old kid with a 55-year-old guy that's hardcore gang member doing life. Yeah, that dude's going to manipulate.
That's I think it's in the Title 15 or I don't know. It's somewhere where they're supposed to do that. They don't go by it. But they are supposed to have people in the cells that are similar in size, not age, but in size and sophistication, and they don't go by that, man. They're overwhelmed. California is not as overpopulated. The prison system is not as overpopulated as it was because the feds had to step in and threatened, hey, if you guys don't get this right, we're gonna take over. The prison guards freaked out because they knew they weren't going to be getting that good California pay no more. They were going to get federal wages, and they would have all walked off. So it's not as overcrowded as it was, but still, classification is going to go by, is this guy in the same disruptive group or faction as this guy? He is, boom, put him in the cell together. That's it.
To feel a little young kid and make him his bitch in there.
What was the most horrifying thing you've seen?
Here we go. Hold on.
I was working on a building where they're kind of cuckoo, and they're on meds all day. And this guy was on the second tier, and there was blood coming from the second tier, dripping all the way down. So me and my partner went up there, walked, and the dude's sitting on his bunk. He's just staring at us, and there's blood coming from the bottom bunk where he was at, and he was hearing voices. So these guys, when they have a lot of money on their books, or they could buy like
a lot of money,
soda, they could buy all kinds of Doritos, they could buy all kinds of things. So he sold half of the Coke can.
There ain't no damn Doritos in there. What the hell?
And he grabbed his ball sack, and he actually used half of the Coke can to saw his scrotum, and he grabbed one of his nuts and he flushed it down the toilet because he said he heard voices, and God told him to do that.
Yeah.
And he was just sitting there staring at us. Meanwhile, he was bleeding, and he lived. Yeah, but of course, I don't know what happened to that situation, but his nut went down the toilet, and I don't know where it's at now.
Do you think there's hope? I mean, is there anything that the prison system can do to help these guys? once they're done?
Oh, it's hard, man, because think about it. Once you have a record, how do you come back on the street and you fill out application and you got...
Hold on, they oh my goodness, those legs are surprising, right? When you saw the upper half, you see how big that Vato's head was and how lumpy he was, and then look at this.
Got to hit that checkbox, felon. If you don't hit that checkbox, felon, and do a background, they're gonna find it anyway. So I think the only way they can really survive is...
Check him out though. He got his Nikes on. He got his little brother's legs on today. You know, he decided to borrow somebody else's legs for the interview, but the top half was still a mess. And then he's talking about people can't get a job again.
Probably know somebody that maybe owns a business that gives them a chance. A lot of them want to do right, but they parole and they go right back to their neighborhoods and they hang around their boys.
Hold on, Nate. Look at, we went from them legs to back up here. Oh, that shit was spectacular. One more time.
Survive is probably know somebody that maybe owns a business that gives them a chance. A lot of them want to do right, but they parole and they go right back to their neighborhoods and they hang around their boys. And what do? They go down, man. Start smoking weed. And they don't have the tools, man. It's sad because the way they grew up, you know, they don't have a dad. They don't have a father figure, man. Dad was in a gang. Dad was locked up.
Yeah, just like my interviews, it's like a very, very small percentage of them had fathers.
Exactly. So I had a good relationship, man. And the job was easy for me because it's all about communicating and talking to them. And these dudes would look at me like, man, I wish I had somebody like you in the neighborhood when I was younger.
But he's 3 steps ahead of them. They're planting seeds. If they ever told you some shit like that, hey, I'm not even gonna say that never happened. Somebody threw a filler out there. They were like, this big old dummy. I'm sure that's what they said. Does it mean you're dumb? I don't know you. I know you've told some tales today that are pretty spectacular and far from the truth. I know when you stood up for them 2 or 3 minutes that he had you stand up, your ankles were screaming for dear life. But yeah, I don't know anything else about you.
And they all tripped out on me because I'm white. And they're like, how the fuck do you know about this lifestyle? You being white, this and that. Because I can relate to all that. Because I didn't grow up great. But I chose not to go down that path, man.
Yeah, so much of it is not having role models to look up to.
Yeah, you gotta have role models, man. But at the end of the day, you also gotta have the will to cut yourself off from all the bad friends that you got, man, and the peer pressure. I was that dude in the car where everybody's smoking weed. Give Todd a hit, and I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. I don't want to hit. Come on, man, stop acting like a bitch or a pussy. Pull over. I'm gonna fuck you up right now. Like I was that. I'm an alpha male, man. You're not gonna convince me to do anything.
I see the alpha in you, big dog's head. Anyway. God, let's get a little bar. Let's get another bar of that one. Hey, I'm an alpha male. I'm gonna beat your ass because I'm a fucking alpha male. Let's go back right here.
And I'm like, no, man, I'm good. I don't want to hit. Come on, man, stop acting like a bitch or a pussy. Pull over. I'm gonna fuck you up right now. Like I was that. I'm an alpha male, man. You're not gonna convince me to do anything that I don't want to do. I've done a lot of dumb shit as a kid that I wanted to do.
Oh, you ain't.
But nobody's going to convince me to do something.
Never. No.
Won't never happen.
No. Alpha.
I had friends in there that I bumped into from junior high, from high school, that I bumped into at Lancaster. It's a small world, man.
Yeah.
San Fernando Valley is gigantic. So these guys, go to different prisons. So I saw dudes from Lancaster that I used to be tight with in junior high. And then we saw each other and they're trying to dab me up. But I can't dab you up, bro.
Okay, my bad.
We're on different sides now, man.
All right.
We used to be
alpha
cool.
male.
We used to be boys, but that was 35 years ago.
Yeah.
Your life took a turn, man. Mine didn't.
What kind of things go on in prison that the general public doesn't have any idea about?
Yeah, let us know.
A lot of sex in there, man. Like coming out of the academy, I would work graveyard, and I would have my keys in my pocket, and I would have to do counts. And, I got my flashlight. Yeah, they're going to town, man. So once I saw enough of that, I said, you know what? Let me leave my keys out so that shit can jingle because I don't want to see that no more. If I was at a female prison, yeah, that's cool. But male prison, nah, man, I'm
Weird.
good with that.
See that shit? That's that weird shit. Where in the hell was he at where he saw men having sex with each other constantly? But then he says if it was a woman's prison, I'd be fine with it. I think that's against the law, right? Like, that's pervert shit right there. This dude is on a whole nother level. He's not telling the truth.
I don't want to see that shit. So the craziest story was I was up north and they're on lockdown. And when they're on lockdown, we self-feed. So they have food ports. So I'm serving and I'm new. I'm right out of the academy. And they knew I was new. Jumpsuits all creased up. Boots are all nice and shiny. You know, after a few years, you don't even care what you look like in there anyway. So these dudes are like, we're serving them bacon, French toast.
Cannot serve bacon within the CDC due to the Muslim population and the Jewish. You can't serve bacon. But go ahead, big dog. You served them bacon.
Butter, you know, that butter on the plates, and this butter's real whipped. So I'm passing around the food trays, and these dudes are like, "Hey, CO, can I get some butter?" I'm like, "Bro, you got butter already." "No, man, you give me some more butter." And once I gave extra butter to one of the inmates, all of them saw that shit, and they all started, "Hey, CO, can you give me some? Hey, CO, can you give me some?" Went back to one of my boys that's been doing it for a while. I said, "What's up with this butter, bro? Is this shit magical?" And he looked at me and goes, "Come on, man, you don't know?" And I went, "Don't tell me it's fucking lube."
Yeah, because they don't sell lotion on the canteen anymore. They don't sell lotion at all, you know. And you know what? He could be right. He could be telling the truth because he is in a prison where everybody has constant sex with each other. And they call it butter sex.
And he's like, "Yep." I'm like, "Fuck, maybe I should go back to the post office, man. This job ain't for me." Yeah, that was like, oh shit, that was wild, man. So now, you know, I'm married, so sometimes when I run out of Vaseline, maybe I'll buy some margarine at the store for me and my wife.
What was the after having this career for a while? What have you learned about society?
Shit, we already knew it was shit. Now it's even more shit. Just the tools, man, in these hoods, in these neighborhoods, man. America don't care about these neighborhoods, man. It's sad.
Yeah, it's a lack of education, lack of opportunity.
Yeah, definitely, man. These kids that grow up in those neighborhoods, man, they don't know nothing about going to college and a 401k.
No, not
They're
at
trying
all.
to put food on the table, man. Mom's strung out on dope. Maybe grandparents.
No dad.
No dad, of course. Maybe grandparents are raising them. Grandparents are 80 years old. These kids are running circles and manipulating their grandparents and running around. Or they see their uncles with all the bling bling, driving nice cars, all the females. I want that life, man. I don't want to be going to college, wasting 10 years of my life. Maybe I won't get that. I want that shit right now. Instant gratification, man. And that's the way the young...
Save that shit. Now he's trying to come with a positive message after you saying all those kids he's trying to act like he's cool with. According to him, they're going to go to prison and be gay. That's their future. The future is you're going to go to prison, you're going to become gay, right? And there's nothing that anybody could do. Your life is, I don't know. This is weird, eh? But I'm going to go ahead and call this one a wrap here. It's all lies. What he's talking about, like I said, you could tell he's probably has worked for the Department of Corrections on a very low level, you know, level 1 or ranch maybe. But he didn't interact with anybody. Maybe he was on a level 4. No, Soledad's not a level 4. He was on a level 3, worked the night shift. Then they said, "Man, this guy, something, we can't have him around nobody." And they put him in the parking lot somewhere. The vato was the parking lot attendant or something. I don't know, but that's the video for today. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out.